Hello everyone, welcome everybody. This is another YouTube video. This time around we go through all things Italy before the game against Germany. First leg of the Nations League quarterfinals. The meeting is set at San Siro on Thursday, March 20 and 9 p.m. local time. I'll be at San Siro tomorrow covering the game, following all the post-match press conferences, so make sure you subscribe to the channel to get all the updates and to get all the analysis after the game. Today it's the eve of the game, and it was a very important game, a very important day indeed, because Italy got some very important updates and very important news, especially regarding their attacking department. First thing first, unfortunately, Mateo Retegui is injured. He suffered an injury during a training session with the Azzurri, and so is not going to be available for the first leg and the second leg game. He has already returned to Atalanta, and Spalletti explained his condition a little bit, the conditions of Retegui, and said he hopes that Retegui returns to action in time for the next Atalanta game after the international break, but his condition currently made it impossible for him to play against Germany, either at San Siro and in Dortmund in the second leg on Sunday. Now, this Nations League game is pretty important for Italy and Germany, not just because Nations League is an international competition, an international trophy, of course, nowhere near the World Cup or the Euros, but it's clearly something that every country wants to win. It's even more important this time around, especially the quarterfinals, because depending on the results of the quarterfinals, the teams, Italy and Germany, will get different groups in the World Cup qualifiers. So what happens if Italy win and qualify for the Nations League semifinals? They get in the Group A of the Nations League of the World Cup qualifiers, Slovakia, Northern Ireland and Luxembourg. If they lose, and so Germany qualify to the semifinals, Italy will get Israel and Estonia and Moldova, but most importantly, Norway as well, which means meeting Erling Haaland in the World Cup qualifiers. So it's very important to win, not just to beat Germany and to go to the Nations League semifinals, but also to get an easier path on paper in the World Cup qualifiers. At least winning would allow the Azzurri to avoid meeting Holland in the World Cup qualifiers. What happened today? I've already mentioned the injury to Retegui. Spalletti said that he won't replace the Atalanta striker for the first game against Germany, so he's going to keep the team as it is. There could be changes for the second leg when he may call another striker, and he already mentioned the possible replacements for Retegui for the second leg game against Germany. The possible replacements are option A, Roberto Piccoli of Cagliari, center forward, so tactically would be pretty similar to Mateo Retegui. The second option, or first, depending on what Spalletti needs, is Roma's Tommaso Baldanzi, so slightly different, a little bit more of a support striker, can play as a trequartista, can play even as a box-to-box midfielder, which is a role that he covered under Daniele De Rossi at the start of the season at Roma. So Spalletti said, depending on what I'll need, and also depending on the condition of Andrea Cambiaso and Mattia Zaccagni, I will decide whether I call up another striker and who I will call up between Piccoli and Baldanzi. Now, Spalletti said a few interesting things about the game as well, which I want to go through with you, thanks to the Football Italia article that covered the Spalletti quotes on the eve of the game. In the meantime, I mentioned Cambiaso and Zaccagni. They didn't train today. They haven't yet trained with the rest of the team during the international break, so they're for sure they're not going to start the first leg against Germany. Spalletti said that there is the possibility that both players just recover for the second leg game on Sunday. So not seeing them tomorrow available on the bench would not be a surprise. And of course, it's not even a surprise not seeing Di Marco, because the Inter defender is injured and originally wasn't even called up for these couple of games against Germany. So what did Spalletti said exactly about Retegui, which is something that I partially mentioned already. The exact problems is not well defined, but he has muscle fatigue, and as we've always done, we decided to release him. At the moment, I'll call nobody because I want to see how the first game goes. I may need a center forward or a support striker. We'll see based on Zaccagni and Cambiaso. If I have to call a center forward, I'll call Piccoli. If it's a support striker, I'll call Baldanzi. So as I said, the option will be between these two players if Spalletti decide to even call a replacement for Retegui in the second leg game. One of the doubts for the starting 11 is whether Ricci or Rovella would start in central midfield, probably joining Sandro Tonali and Nicolo Barella. And based on what Spalletti said, I really think he's going to pick the Lazio midfielder. So Rovella over Ricci, with Ricci starting on the bench. Here's what Spalletti said about the pair. Ricci, especially in his recent roles, plays as a mezzala. He makes more forward runs. Rovella is more of a holding midfielder. When he draws the line on the pitch and sees someone crossing it, he gets fire in his eyes. So Spalletti expects a very physical game. He expects, Germany to press high, try to win the ball high up the pitch. So in these circumstances, I think Rovella has more chances than Ricci to start. And what most media say as well after today's training is that Rovella will get the nod and will start over Ricci in central midfield. The Retegui injury means that there is one less doubt in attack because Kane is going to start 100%. Retegui is the leading Serie A scorer, but Kane is the second with 15 goals for Fiorentina. Incredible season, not just in terms of goal scoring, but also in terms of helping the team, holding the ball up front, and his physicality is probably going to be a very important key to Spalletti tomorrow. And it's an important game as well because it's an international match against a top team where Kane can prove to have gone to the next step, really, after disappointing so much at Juventus last season where he didn't even score a goal. Let's see what Spalletti said about Kane as well. I expect this match to be physically intense with constant back and forth action. And in that kind of game, Kane is better suited. So this makes me wonder whether Kane would have started regardless of Retegui's injury. And probably, given what Spalletti said, I think the Azzurri coach would have picked Kane even if Retegui was available. I doubt he would have chosen both because he said in previous months that playing with two center forwards like them would probably require to play against a team that defends with the low block. So it's not something that Germany do. So probably he would have chosen one between Ken and Retegui, and probably he would choose Ken regardless of Retegui's injury. Something more about Ken, which is more about the personal sphere and not very much about Kane as a player. Spalletti said that he had more time. Spalletti lives in Tuscany, not too far from Florence, so geographically he had a little more time to go and visit Fiorentina and watch the training sessions live. And so this proximity with Ken has helped him know him on a different perspective as well. And this is what the coach had to say. I also had the chance to talk with him, not just about football, and I got to know him better. He's a bit different from the image that he gives off. He's a very sensitive guy who cares about his profession and his teammates, and he fully embodies the moral quality of the team that we want to build. So words of big praise from Spalletti for Moise Kean. And again, tomorrow is a big chance for Ken because it's an international game against a top country where he can really show that he has been reaching the next level with Fiorentina. I want to finish this video, as I promised, with the possible Azzurri 11 for the game against Germany. And I already mentioned the doubt in central midfield, but Rovella is expected to start. The other minor doubt is in central defense because Buongiorno was tested on Tuesday, while Calafiori was tested in defense on Wednesday, and Calafiori is actually expected to start in Italy's three-man defense. I'll show you again through Football Italia the potential Italy 11 against Germany. and it's a 3-5-2 as we've seen in pretty much every game after the Euros, with Donnarumma, Di Lorenzo, Calafiori and Bastoni, Politano as a right wing back, Barella, Rovella and Tonali in central midfield, Udogie on the left, Raspadori and Ken in attack. As I said, minor doubt on whether Calafiori or Buongiorno would start. In his press conference, Spalletti said that Buongiorno would feature in both games against Germany, so tomorrow, Thursday, and Sunday against Germany, but in Germany. But I do think that maybe Buongiorno can be introduced in the second half against Germany at San Siro, and perhaps start in the second leg next week. This is pretty much everything I had of the Italy preview on for the game against Germany. As I said again, tomorrow I'll be at San Siro, so keep in touch, subscribe to the channel. There will be an analysis on the game and some extra contents from inside and outside San Siro, so keep in touch to know everything about the Italy-Germany game. Comment, please, if you want, in the comment section, so we can continue the discussion about the match build-up and the match analysis tomorrow. Grazie, ciao ciao.